Why is he detained on the ground?
Remember these chilling pictures? A student detained, forced to the sidewalk face down, and his hands cuffed behind his back. Carrboro police say things could have been handled better.
Heroin, it's back and in a big way, and you may not believe who's using it these days. We have the story.
And you use Connect Carolina most every day. You might want to consider this instead. It might help prevent your identity from being stolen.
Carolina Week
starts right now.
From the UNC School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering Carolina in HD, this is Carolina Week.
Remember that Carolina student who was detained by Carrboro police, forced on the sidewalk face down with his hands cuffed behind his back? All of that even though he hadn't done anything wrong. I'm Landon Dowdy.
And I'm Mary Alice McMillan. The student filed a complaint with the police department. Officially, it remains just that, a complaint. Stephanie Lopez reports.
Ignored. That's how UNC student Talib Cochran says he feels after receiving a reply from Carrboro Police Department about a complaint he filed.
Y'all gonna walk away from me?
Cochran filed the complaint after being stopped, detained, and handcuffed by Carrboro police. He had done nothing wrong. Police were looking for a white male. Cochran is black.
It's like they brushed it under the rug and pretty much sent a message to me saying that my complaint, my situation that I went through is pretty much not relevant to them.
Carrboro police responded to Cochran's complaint by filing it under other, meaning the complaint was not found to be sustained, not sustained, unfounded, with improper conduct, or indicative of a policy failure. Chris Atack is a captain with Carrboro police. He says the other category acts as a catch-all.
It could cover the gamut of what's not covered in the other five. I could see where it would be kind of ambivalent maybe, but it is a classification that kind of catches everything else.
He says there are often misunderstandings, and many times that can make people angry.
I think a lot of times just a conversation after an incident, when cooler heads are prevailing, will go a long way towards understanding.
Cochran says the police apologized, although not in writing.
I think my head was as cool as it could be. I mean, I didn't say anything until after the fact when I pulled my phone out to record.
Captain Atack says the Carrboro Police Department investigates complaints from people who've had a bad experience.
Because we work with the community, we're not against the community. It's not an us versus them, and if there's a concern, we would like to look into it.
In Carrboro, I'm Stephanie Lopez.
What's the major drug problem in the United States? Federal officials say it's heroin. They say it's becoming the drug of choice among young people.
Now I'm starting to get scared.
It's videos like these that are all over YouTube. People doing heroin. 148 people died from heroin use in 2012. You can snort it, smoke it, or use a needle to inject it, and it's becoming the drug of choice among some young people. Jeff Georgie does research on brain addiction at Duke University Medical Center and is the co-founder of Bluefield, a university recovery community. He says addiction isn't necessarily hereditary, and the sooner young people start using drugs like heroin, the more addiction you'll see.
The earlier exposure to a drug can actually prime the brain to become addicted.
The Federal Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration reports more than 660,000 people ages 12 or older used heroin at some point in 2012. Georgie says the increase in the use of opiates appears to start with prescription drugs. He says one addiction is leading to another.
You've got pharmaceuticals more available, and you've got the drug cartels that have recognized from a geopolitical point of view that this is the wiser business decision.
A wise business decision because of cost. Police say that young people are starting off with prescription drugs from a friend or relative. The cost to maintain that high gets too expensive, so they turn to heroin at just $10 a bag. Attorney General Eric Holder says this is a public health crisis.
Confronting this crisis will require a combination of enforcement as well as treatment. The Justice Department is committed to both.
Georgie wants to do his part by giving recovering young people a healthy environment.
We've got to get away from criminalizing an illness and treat it like the public health problem that it is.
Heroin use has increased more than 100% in the past decade.
The empire strikes back. That's what it looks like anyway. The university is rejecting the claims of whistleblower Mary Willingham, and it's using the results of an independent study to back up its position. Megan Hahn is standing by live outside of South Building with the latest on the report. Megan?
According to the report, Mary Alice, the outside researchers investigating Mary Willingham's research produced very different results. They say 6% of the student athletes in question read between a 4th and 8th grade level. Willingham reported 60%. I looked into the discrepancy between the two findings. 3 experts were paid $5,000 each in non-state funds to conduct this review.
We're in a research university. Every person's research here gets scrutinized by outside experts. We've done the same thing that everybody in this whole university does. It's nothing special. It's not picking on anybody. It's not bullying.
Willingham maintains 60% of the more than 180 athletes she tutored read between a 4th and 8th grade level. The independent researchers concluded the number was much lower, around 6%. Willingham based part of her research on the Scholastic Abilities Test for adults, which is a vocabulary exam. In his findings, Dr. Dennis Kramer of UVA wrote, "There does not appear to be conclusive evidence that the SATA-RV subtest is an accurate measure of literacy."
It's really about the data and about the claims that were made in the national media. And the problems with those claims are, the two main issues are, number one, that the SATA exam is not a reading test. It's a vocabulary test, and I think the 3 experts were pretty clear about that. But even if you did believe that it were a reading test, you also have the problem that the wrong scores were used.
We asked the independent experts to do an independent analysis, which is what a research university does, and the peer review process of any type of research project.
But what about all the data Willingham used? Dean says there's a good reason for not providing the independent investigators with her SAT verbal data and one-on-one studies.
The College Board that administers the SAT test has never said that you can get from SAT verbal exams to reading scores. There's really no way to do it.
Willingham released a statement denouncing the findings. For now, I will just say that I am disappointed that the university neglected to take even the most basic steps to ensure the integrity, impartiality, and fairness of its supposedly independent review of my data. The independent review came 2 days after UNC launched the Carolina Commitment website. The university hopes the site will increase transparency and provide updates about the issue.
Thanks for that report. That's Megan Hahn reporting live from outside of South Building. Thinking about registering for an easy class, you might want to think again.
That's right. Starting this fall, UNC will spearhead contextualized grading. That means that your transcript will have a lot more than just your grades.
It will also show the class size, median grade of the class, the percentile range of grades, and other information. Advocates say contextualized grading will decrease grade inflation, encourage professors to give more meaningful grades, and reward students who take more difficult classes.
So if you're thinking back to some easy classes that you've already taken, don't worry, you're safe until next semester, so watch out.
Have you finished registering for next semester? I have, and like me, you probably logged on to Connect Carolina to do it.
But turns out Connect Carolina isn't all that safe. The university knows it. And one student doesn't think officials are moving fast enough to correct the problems. Reporter Emily Palmer has the story.
Remember him? Student body president candidate Winston Howes. He was the face of Carolina 2.0, and now he's created a new interface for student class registration. Howes is the brain behind Carolina Classmaster, a program that he says is more secure than Connect Carolina. But what's wrong with Connect Carolina?
There were ways to change grades. There were ways to graduate in a semester. You could see people's financial information, and from that, then commit bank fraud.
Fran Dykstra is Assistant Vice Chancellor of ITS.
It's certainly true that Winston could do that. I would be surprised if anybody else could. It's a little premature for anybody to be saying that the vulnerabilities that Winston believes he has discovered are in fact vulnerabilities.
Dykstra says ITS is looking into the issues, but Howes says it's not fast enough, and he's still bringing up problems which he says haven't been addressed. He told ITS about a vulnerability that could access information protected under FERPA.
That one definitely, I think, got their attention, just because there could be potential lawsuits.
Howes says that registering for classes using Carolina Classmasters is more secure and easier to navigate. Let's take a look. When you register for a course, the interface shows your schedule, detailed information about the course, a map of the area, and even a blinkness report, all without having to navigate a bunch of tabs. So what's the problem? Dykstra says that ITS needs time to assess the program.
I don't think that constitutes ITS having the opportunity to look at the code.
Students like Austin Parsons aren't convinced.
It is linked to your student account and then linked to your parents' credit card probably, and however you pay tuition, like that can be kind of scary.
In Chapel Hill, I'm Emily Palmer.
Howells says he has big plans for the future of Carolina Classmaster. He's spoken with students at several other universities about adopting the program.
You may have taken this bus too, and to this lot. Odds are you didn't get a parking spot on campus. We'll tell you why some students are fed up with the system.
And you may want to think twice next time you go to answer that text in class. The short distraction might affect you more than you think. That story coming up.
Be sure to check out Carolina Week online at carolinaweek.org. Connect with us online by liking the Carolina Week Facebook page and following us on Twitter at Carolina Week UNC.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. Stop the texts. Stop the wrecks. Visit us at stoptextstoprex.org.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt. There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Banks, restaurants, and pharmacies, they all have one.
That's right. We're talking about drive-thrus, but we might not be seeing them at new businesses anymore in Carrboro. Delia D'Ambra reports.
We like things to go quickly. Quick at the bank, quick at the gas pump, and sometimes a quick meal. Carrboro Mayor Lydia Lavelle says the Board of Aldermen's reasoning to potentially ban drive-thrus isn't discouraging convenience.
We're trying to encourage people not to rely so much on automobiles. We're trying to encourage people to walk, bike, use the bus, get around.
Carrboro resident Maria Oviedo agrees.
I completely support that. I love the idea of that, and I think that's what makes Carrboro Carrboro.
Drive-thrus have been banned in downtown for 15 years, but the new amendment would prohibit them throughout town, something that concerns resident Elizabeth Veltri.
I might be a little disappointed just because sometimes it's just quicker and easier than standing in a line or going into a store when you don't really need to go in. You just need to pick something up quickly.
Not being able to pick up cash as easily from an ATM like this may be a minor inconvenience, but what about always waiting in line for prescriptions? For people with mobility issues, banning drive-thrus at pharmacies could cause problems. Lavelle says public discussion to evaluate these concerns is key.
We'll have a public hearing, and we're hearing from people already. Just want to talk to people in the public and say, how do you feel about the ban on drive-thrus, and or should it cover everything?
Reporting in Carrboro, I'm Delia D'Ambra.
The board has drafted no ordinance yet, but if an amendment passes, it would only affect future businesses.
Speaking of behind the wheel, try getting a parking space on campus. With only 4,000 spots, it's no easy task. Alexis Simmons tells us about how one student is handling the situation.
Meet Della Romano, a UNC junior who is waiting to ride the bus to an off-campus lot so she can then drive to her internship.
I applied for the internship on a whim and figured if I got it, then I would figure out the transportation piece for myself.
And that piece was buying her first car. I rode with Romano to the resident remote, or RR lot. She told me she applied for hardship parking, her last shot at a space on campus, but she was denied.
Taking the bus to the RR lot, that would kill about an hour and a half every day I had to go to work for me, which is a lot of time when you're taking a full class schedule.
Time is what some students like Miley Lim
didn't even have to apply.
Honestly, I just didn't feel like I had a good chance, and plus there's so much paperwork that I had to go into it. I didn't have the time, and I just didn't want to go through the entire process, and I probably wouldn't have gotten it anyways.
Now, there's about 19,000 undergraduate students, but there's only about 4,000 parking spots on campus. That means less than 1 in every 4 students will receive a spot.
I don't believe that it's injustice. I just believe that there could be a better way to do it, and that when students have opportunities, even though the opportunities are there, some students might not choose to capitalize on them for reasons like this.
Meanwhile, students hope the university will capitalize on providing more parking. Reporting in Chapel Hill, I'm Alexis Simmons.
Public Safety Director Randy Young says the Craig Parking Deck expansion project will be complete in the summer of 2015. It'll create 900 parking spaces for employees and students.
Texting in class? No big deal, right? Everyone does it. Well, research suggests pulling out your phone can hurt your grades. Health and science reporter Parth Shah reports.
Freshman Richa Contractor says she uses her phone in class.
When I'm tired in class and I'm not able to pay attention, I'm struggling to keep my eyes open. So that's when I pull my phone out a lot more.
But a recent study from the journal Communication Education says using your phone in class will cause you to do worse on exams compared with students who don't. The problem comes with trying to multitask, says psychology lecturer Jeannie Loeb.
To do 2 tasks well at the same time, the brain appears to actually be switching its attention to these tasks rather than simultaneously paying attention to these tasks. So you're not actually multitasking, you are actually task switching.
Task switching means if you're trying to text and listen to lecture, you can only focus on one thing at a time, and that can hurt your grades.
Sometimes students just think that a class is a place they have to go in order to get a credit for attendance. And they think that once they get there, they can just do whatever they want to do.
Professor Kathy Packer doesn't allow cell phones or computers in her class. She says they're a distraction.
I have a smartphone, I have a laptop, I have an iPad. I think there are places for all of these things, but I don't think that all these devices used for all different purposes all the time are constructive.
To avoid getting distracted, turn off your phone before class, sit in the front of the classroom, and visit the UNC Learning Center for advice on how to stay focused for finals. In Chapel Hill, I'm Parth Shah.
It's part of our reputation here at Carolina, research.
UNC is ranked as one of the top 7 public research universities in the country, and undergraduates got a chance to present their projects this week at the celebration of undergraduate research.
More than 100 students showcase their work. The celebration encourages research across disciplines.
Project topics range from increasing grandeur in film adaptations of Jane Austen's novels to the silent and ongoing cyber warfare in Russia.
Well, it looks like spring, but it certainly doesn't feel like it. It was freezing this morning.
Yeah, meteorologist Drew Day is up next to tell us what we can expect for the rest of the week.
My new mom and I have a lot in common.
The great outside.
We both love the outdoors.
It's so shiny.
That's not a flower. We both love geology.
Oh, look. An igneous one.
That's not a rock. And she knows a lot about wildlife.
A labradoodle.
That's not a dog. Hanging out has been kind of fun.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
To Maddie, congrats on paying off all those student loans.
Finally, right?
How'd you manage that anyway?
I started tracking my spending, changed a couple of habits.
Wow, I'm kind of living paycheck to paycheck right now. I don't even know how I'm doing it.
Well, have you tried saving a little?
I want to, but where's that money gonna come from? Bill collectors, they're the worst. Am I right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
Not home.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
And welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm Drew Day. We're going to start off your forecast this evening with a look at the current temperatures outside here in Chapel Hill. The temperature right now is 54 degrees. The dew point is at 25, so it's very dry out there right now. We do have a little bit of a light wind out there from the north at 10 miles per hour. And as you know, it was quite cold out there today as a result of the cold front that moved through yesterday and brought us all the showers. So we do have a freeze warning in effect this evening as temperatures will be dropping to 32 degrees here in Chapel Hill and will remain below freezing in other areas across North Carolina. So all the counties you see shaded here are under this freeze warning until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. So you're going to want to make sure you cover up any sensitive outdoor plants or vegetation, any potted plants you may have on your porch that you've already got out there for spring. Be sure to bring those inside this evening and protect that vegetation. Now we have plenty of sunshine out there today. No clouds here over North Carolina, just some lingering cloud cover as a result of that frontal system that moved through yesterday. So we'll back out and take a look at the nationwide picture, and still we've got pretty quiet weather across much of the nation. We are watching just this one little area of low pressure over the Dakotas right now, but at this point it doesn't look like that's going to do anything to our weather. So our weather here will be quiet for the next several days. So as we take a look at right now, this is 5 p.m. on Wednesday. Again, there's that frontal system that moved through yesterday and that cloud cover sitting offshore, and will remain quiet to waking up tomorrow morning to temperatures in the lower 30s. There may be some moisture being moved into North Carolina onshore from the Atlantic tomorrow, so we may see a little bit of the cloudy skies tomorrow, and that frontal system just lingers, and so that'll kind of bring more moisture into North Carolina throughout the day on Friday. So by Friday morning, a little bit more moisture, more cloud cover on Friday, and we may see just a small little sprinkle, but I don't think it'll be a big deal. So I don't think it'll be any need to lug around a jacket or an umbrella throughout the day on Friday, maybe just a few drops here or there. So overnight tonight, expect to see temperatures dropping down to around freezing. Again, clear and cold across the area. Tomorrow, our high will be 60 degrees with partly cloudy skies, so very mild. So warmer tomorrow than we had today. We'll be warming up here the next several days. By 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, expect to see temperatures in the 30s, cloudy skies throughout much of the day. And then by 8 p.m., expect temperatures to be near 53 degrees. 60 degrees will be our high tomorrow. Sorry about that, 73 there. So as we take a look at the 5-day forecast now, expect to see 61 for Friday. Again, more cloud cover on those days, and then temperatures will make it into the 70s by the time we head into the weekend with a mix of sun and clouds. So guys, the good news is today is the coldest day. We're going to be warming up back into the 70s.
I mean, I feel like you're going to tell me it's going to snow now.
It's always possible in North Carolina, but the good news is right now, lower 70s will return.
The winter that never ended.
No, it's hanging on. It's hanging on.
Yeah, we'll be looking forward to the weekend, looking forward to that warm weather.
It definitely was
It's a good
nice.
thing I haven't planted any of my flowers yet.
Yeah, you don't have to do any work of covering plants up tonight.
All right, thanks so much, Drew.
All right, you're welcome.
Drew. The Tar Heels were looking pretty tricky in the spring game.
All the highlights coming up in sports.
Kids will spend 8 minutes decorating their little brother.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
I've got a job to do today.
I've got a job to do today.
Have a good first day at work, Mom.
Your donations to Goodwill fund job training programs right in your community.
Feels good to start fresh, right?
Sure does. And like that, you're a job creator.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm Nicole Carrboro. Football season is still months away, but the Tar Heels took the field this weekend for the annual spring scrimmage. Ryan O'Rourke has more on the blue versus white game.
Out with the old, in with the new. The Tar Heel football team showed off some fresh faces in an inter-squad matchup that resulted in a 38-17 win for the blue team. And even though it's only spring, the competition for a starting job is fierce, especially for quarterbacks Marquise Williams and Mitch Trubisky.
I thought they did a nice job of just managing the offense today. There were probably a couple balls that were thrown that shouldn't have been thrown where they were, and we've got to get that adjusted. But pretty much, I thought the decision-making process was pretty good, which is what I was looking at today.
Neither quarterback could capitalize, as both threw an interception and no touchdowns. But there was one score through the air that got fans on their feet, as wide receiver Quinshaw Davis connected with T.J. Thorpe for a 36-yard touchdown. Aside from the trick play TD, the running back stole the show as T.J. Logan and Chris Francis combined for 195 yards and 4 scores. With the spring game serving as the last practice before fall, players realize they must take it upon themselves to improve over the summer.
We got to get everyone out on the field and run workouts on our own so we can keep practicing the offense and keep throwing throughout the offseason. So it's really on us to be disciplined to have a good work ethic this offseason.
And with players like Eric Ebron, James Hurst, and Kareem Martin all headed for the NFL, expect to see new faces and larger roles for Coach Fedora's team come fall. Reporting from Chapel Hill, I'm Ryan O'Rourke.
The Tar Heels kick off the 2014 season on August 30th, taking on the Liberty University Flames at Kenan Stadium. Meanwhile, the football team was away from Kenan and walking the Carolina blue carpet with the rest of UNC's athletes at the 2014 Rammy Awards. The award show started last year as a way to celebrate Tar Heel success both on and off the field. The athletes put away their cleats for heels and dress shoes. Before the ceremony began, teammates were brought together to take pictures as they reminisced over their past year's achievements. But then it was time for the awards to start, hosted by the voice of Tar Heel football and basketball, Jones Angell. Marcus Page took home 3 Rammys, including Male Athlete of the Year, but the basketball team didn't win Team of the Year. That one went to the defending national champions on the women's lacrosse team. Well, the Rammys just seemed like an awesome event. I heard that one women's basketball player clogged on stage to a song, so that's a great opportunity.
Very, very talented athletes.
Definitely. It'll be nice to celebrate their accomplishments.
Yes, congratulations to all the winners, and congratulations to Carolina for winning the football game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good job. Go UNC.
All right, thanks for that, Nicole.
Thank you.
You probably saw some students walking on campus looking like this.
It was all a part of a multicultural celebration at UNC. That story coming up.
Mom, can we get some ice cream? Please, Mom, please.
No, we're having dinner soon.
Please.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
Used to call me the buttered biscuit. Back then, I was a sex expert. I know about birth control, too.
Bedsider.org has birth control information and a lot more. And it's...
Have you had sex in this car yet?
Teachers today are finding new ways to instill old lessons, proving that greatness can be found in everyday places and that you don't need to be famous to be unforgettable.
Got a little colorful on campus last week,
to say the least, and for the 5th year in a row. What begins as a white blur transforms into a colorful frenzy. It's Holy Moly, a spring celebration based on the Hindu holiday Holi. Hundreds of students gathered on Hooker Fields with powdered paint in hand to celebrate spring. There was plenty of dancing, like you see here, posing, and picture-perfect moments. And that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks for watching. Good night.
Good night.